Hello and welcome back to the No Flipping Excuses channel. My name is Michael Bredthauer and I am joined today by Jason Palliser. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. And we're going to be talking today about something really special. Before I get into exactly what that's going to be, though, I do have a special request. Please, if you would, this is urgent. It's actually life and death almost. Like, comment, and subscribe below. And the reason I say it's life and death almost is because, and I'm talking about your business. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about your business because we have over 200 videos of highly secretive, very on-point targeted techniques that are going to be unleashed very soon. So I'm saying it for your own good. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of that stuff.
And it could be life or death for your investment business. What we do is just to expand is that we're releasing, depending on when you see this, you may already see that there's a tidal wave of videos. But what we did is we broke down almost every aspect of the real estate investment business for you, for different nuances that would come up, or different techniques, or different rules of engagement. How do you run your business more efficiently on a daily basis? And we laid those all out. And so what I would do is just block out some time and watch them. We sat down and on our end, it was a commitment, right? We said, hey, we want to impact, we want to get our hands on every investor in America, from the standpoint of just making sure that we do this the right way. We want to make sure that every aspect of the business that you are unclear on, that we covered. So subscribe to the channel. And if you can do us a favor, share it with your friends. And the more you comment, and the more you ask questions, the more that we're going to put on our calendar videos to explain that as well. We've made a decision, like, I'm not going to publicly talk about it before we get into what we're going to talk about here, but I have a certain number in my head on the number of videos that I want to do. Partly because I just want to smash guru land and help you be a much smarter, sharper investor. Whether you've been doing it 20 years, I'm 25 years deep, or whether you're brand new or just getting started or just struggling to find, what do I do on a daily basis that's going to make an impact on my business? We're here to help you. The way that you can benefit from that is simply subscribing to the channel and sharing it with other people.
Yeah, and there's a good point here, because we've been asked a lot of times, and a lot of these videos come from questions that have come from you. So comment below and ask this question. In today's video, talking about seller financing, specifically the paperwork, the dreaded bureaucratic red tape paperwork that gives us all heartburn and diarrhea at the same time. But I've got good news, Jason. I think you're going to make it a lot easier for us to understand what is needed to do a seller financing deal, and probably remove some of that heartburn for some of us.
Yeah. So again, let's dive into it. So we're here to help you. So what does that mean? I want to make sure that we're all marching to the same direction here. Why am I even going to talk about seller financing? Here's why. Because it's a way to strike a deal with a homeowner where other investors don't know to do it. And so that's why. So before I even break it down, I want to establish the importance. This is a way when you talk to every seller. Okay, this is a way when you talk to every seller that you can tell them, hey, look, we normally pay cash, but there's other ways that we could work with you. And quite frankly, if you're interested in those, we'd like to explore them with you, because it's a way that could help us on top of helping you potentially end up making more money. So instead of a homeowner being at 100 grand and we're at 85, and we're just going to throw them in our follow-up engine, man, I pray and hope that I get the deal. If you know how to do seller financing and you can broach the subject with the homeowner, now all of a sudden there may be, you may have the foundation of go ahead and say, hey, let's go ahead and do the deal at 100. Most investors would walk away, throw them into their follow-up and go, man, if I can really get it at 85, it's a deal. And we may evaluate it together with you and say, hey, at 85, we agree it's a deal. So you might be doing that part right. But why would you, if you know how to put the paperwork together, which I'm going to talk about, why would you ever leave the conversation with the homeowner if you're there in person? Why would you ever leave the house without striking a deal with them? If you know that you could pay a little bit more when we talk about seller financing, the paperwork needed to get this deal to the finish line.
I think the only reason in your scenario to walk away without a contract or a deal is because you don't really want to close a deal. That would be the only reason not to consider seller financing as an
you're
option.
overthinking it, you're scared or whatever, or you just never explored this avenue before. And where this really comes into play is this, and again, as soon as I say this, we're going to start bringing it down. Where it really comes into play is that sometimes a homeowner is just stuck on a number. They have no rhyme or reason why they're on that number. They're simply just stuck on a number. And if you could meet them there, and make it mutually beneficial. Now you have a contract. Now you close the deal and you can move on to the other one. And now they're not just mucking up your follow-up part of the business because you've already struck a deal with them. So there's definite net tangible benefits on top of just getting the deal done. But let's break this down. So what paperwork would be needed if a homeowner says, you know what, I'd be open to financing the property to you. It's pretty straightforward. By the way, I love seller financing. Here's typically what you would need. Okay. So right out of the gate, let's go to the normal part first, but you agree to terms. So you agree to terms with the homeowner on a dollar amount that you'll pay. In my example, you're at 85, but if they're going to finance it, you'll go ahead and do the 100. So you strike a deal where others can't. And the first step is just writing a contract and saying, I agree to pay $100,000 for the property. So that's pretty straightforward, folks. And then you just, you got the address, you got the sales price, you got the closing date, what title company, any other special agreements that you put in there.
So step one is getting terms nailed down. What exactly terms are we going to do with this seller financing contract?
Yeah. So, step one is writing the contract.
Writing the contract, of course.
Now we're going to get into, you just simply have a conversation on terms with them. Okay. And, which will step us into the next, 2 pieces of paperwork that are important to get the transaction done. So what you're going to do is you're going to talk to the homeowner and say, hey, look, if I don't have to go get a loan to buy the property, I'd be willing to pay more. That's where you strike the deal with them. Because here's the reality. Even if you got an 85 or 90 and you got regular financing on the property, just so you know, and again, in banking, you were in banking for collectively, we're probably close to 40 years in banking. Look, if you did it the regular route, you're still going to go get financing on it. It's going to cost you something. It'll probably cost you $3, $4, $5,000. So even though I'm willing to pay 100, I've already saved myself $4 or $5,000. So it's really essentially backing it down to 95, 96,000 because I would have had to go get regular financing and pay the fees, so appraisals, this, that, the other underwriting fees, processing fee. I could go on and on.
The things that are hidden inside the paperwork that we don't think about unless you point it out.
Yeah, correct. So doing owner financing, you already saved yourself thousands of dollars. Now, hey, while you're learning, stop for a second and get the book, The Art of Flipping Deals. Here's how easy it is. Just go to the website, theflippingbook.com. And what you're going to have is an instant download on how we flip deal after deal after deal with predictability that others can't find. Having said that, what you would do about, hey, I'm willing to pay more if you're willing to sell the property on terms to me. And then when you have the conversation with them, this is where you're going to negotiate a good interest rate. I try and start with 0. Hey, I'll pay more if you give me a 0% interest rate because I can pay it off faster and you'll get the money that you're looking for. A lot of times they're like, well, if I'm going to do that for you, I want some interest on top of it, which is smart on their part. If you haven't done it before, I wouldn't even blink at that. It wouldn't give me heartburn. What I'm going to do is I'm always going to negotiate a smoking hot, meaning a very low interest rate comparatively speaking to what the marketplace is at. So in today's world, you could get 6, 7, 8% on an investment property loan very easily if you're going regular financing route. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them if I can do a 2% interest rate and go from there. So I'm going to try and get it. I'm going to try and get it as low as humanly possible. 2%, 3%, you name it, somewhere in that ballpark. And here's the kicker. Once we've agreed to terms, here's the 2 other documents that you need. And by the way, your title company or title attorney can handle this. Okay. You're going to get a note drawn up, a note saying I owe $100,000. I start making payments every 30 days. And here's the interest rate. You're going to have a note drawn up. Have the title company or title attorney do that. They can do that for you. Okay. And then I'm going to have a deed of trust drawn up so that we can have a note and deed of trust, everything recorded properly through the title company. And now the transaction closes like normal. I'm going to go back into those two documents in a second. The final document that you need to get this to the finish line is, and again, title company handles it, is your closing statement, just like you do on a normal closing. Closing statement stating what you paid, what the fees are for title, anything else associated with the transaction, and it's all done. It's all insured, and you've got your deal done, and the homeowner has financed the house to you. And again, we're just talking about the documents, but the benefit to them is that they don't have a huge capital gain essentially right now, and they're getting money over time. So that's a selling point for you. And the other selling point is that you paid more because they're willing to be flexible with you. Now, here's the one big key factor when you're setting this up. I'm just teaching you what documents are needed and then how it needs to be structured to supersize this. Here's what you need to know and understand. The one thing every single time that I've ever done this and struck a deal with a homeowner, Mike, this is where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
This is where the rubber meets the road. So what I do is I make the note and the deed of trust that was drawn up for all the terms that we agreed on. I make them assumable, meaning when the seller signs, I sign, everything's buttoned up, done through title, and insured and legally binding and all done. The note and the deed of trust are assumable, meaning anyone that I choose can assume that note and deed of trust from me. So think about this. Let's say you're trying to get it for 85 or 90, and you thought that if you got it for 85 or 90, you could sell it to another investor or landlord in the marketplace for $100,000. You're trying to make 10 grand. You were going to wholesale it, but you're like, man, I'm at an impasse because they want more. Well, I might come in right behind you where you just threw them in follow up because you disagreed on price. Agree to terms. I'll pay more than what you wanted to pay. I'll pay $100,000. But if my note and deed are assumable with a 2% interest rate, I'll go out there and be like, hear ye, every landlord in town. Who wants to overpay me for this property? Here's what I mean. I want $115 for the property and let's say the landlords in town would never pay over $100,000 in the marketplace for a property in that area. I'm willing to bet they're willing to pay $115 if they realize, hey, you don't need to go get a loan. That saves you a few $1,000s there. So it's really not $115. Now we're closer to $110. Oh, and by the way, it's a 2% interest rate. That's called a unicorn loan. That's called a loan that you can't get. So who wants to take over my financing and pay an extra $15,000? Because I know you're going to pay it off 5 times faster than you would with a 7% or 8% interest rate. Every landlord in town, because you structured the deal the right way using the proper documents, would take a swing at negotiating with you on that particular deal. This is the way to pay more for a property, put the proper documents in place, and the one big key thing is make the note and the deed assumable. Now it's a marketable asset that you struck a deal on, got to the finish line, and you can keep it yourself and pay it down lightning fast, or now market it to the marketplace, and every landlord in town is willing to pay more because you did the deal the right way. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does. And one of the things that I really wanted to point out from what you said is the assistance you get from the title company in putting these documents together. And if you haven't watched some of our previous videos, we talk about how to develop and cultivate a really good relationship with an investor-friendly title company. And that's going to be the one that's going to help you put together the documentation for a seller financing deal.
Yeah, I would immediately, when you're done with this video, go and find that video where we talk about working with an investor-friendly title company. Hence the reason, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We've got all the information for you to put yourself in a much better position, more sophisticated investor position, run your business smoother, more efficiently. So when you're done with this, go find that video immediately. And now you've married both of those together. You're ready to rock and roll and talk to homeowners and present them different options now.
Immediately. So if for those of you that are watching right now, Jason just went over all the items that you would need to constructively put together a seller financing deal without breaking any laws, without actually having any heartburn, because you have the assistance of the title company.
Yeah, because a lot of people here, I'm going to jump in on that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to do something wrong. I'm going to get in trouble. No, you're not. It's just a regular transaction. It's just not Bank of America that's financing it for you. It's a homeowner, but you want the title company or title
Right.
attorney to do it properly so that you can close these deals where you didn't think you could close them before.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah.
The title company, they generally have an attorney on staff that's going to help them with these things.
Correct.
So you know already that everything's going to be on par with what the laws are in that specific state, because every state's different. So as long
because
as
they insure it.
exactly.
It's their responsibility to make sure it's done properly and insure it. That's why you work with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on that note, talking about seller financing paperwork, you've been given all the tools on how to get those elements together. Jason, is there anything that you feel that they should know, not know? Because I know whether you're seasoned or brand new, this is an excellent way to start building up your portfolio.
He's good, folks. He's good. If you're really squeezing one last drop out of me, you're doing
That's
it.
me. That's what I'm. Come here, Jason. Let me.
Okay, so here's the last thing that I would say that was floating in my head. I was like, should I convey it or just do a different video or whatever? The other thing that I want you to understand is that they're going to charge you, okay? The title attorney or title company, the first time they do this for you and set up a note and a deed of trust that's assumable, because you got to deal to the finish line, they're going to charge you to prepare those documents. What I would do, since you're paying for it, is say, hey, since I'm paying for it, it's going to get my transaction done. Can you prepare it? But then also, since I'm paying for it, can you email it to me in Word document format? Because here's why. Once you've paid for it once and you strike another deal, do you really need to pay for them to do that paperwork again? Or have a Word doc and just change the address, change the loan amount, change the interest rate that you agreed upon, then send it over to them so they don't have to charge you for that stuff again. So yeah, if you're squeezing one last freaking drop out of me, Mike,
I had to.
That's what I would tell you to do.
But you know why I did it? I did it for everybody that stayed on the video this long.
Yeah.
They stayed on towards
the
the
people
end.
who listen, like, oh, good. And then they ran with it and didn't get to the finish line. Good point. Oops.
Yep. I did it for you guys. And it's because I appreciate you sticking on this long. I squeezed one last drop out of them. And it wasn't even a drop. That was like a bucket full. Because no, seriously, because now you have a tool that you can take this one thing that you pay for and use it across multiple deals. You pay for it once and all of a sudden
you pay for it once and I use it. Again, in the spirit of some other things that we teach, rinse and repeat, right?
Exactly.
So agreed 100%. So that is the other item that was floating in my head that he cattle proud of me. Okay.
I'll tell you what, I'm done squeezing for this video.
Oh, I like it.
Oh, maybe in the next video I'll squeeze. You know what?
That's a different video.
For the next video, make sure you stay on the end. You never know when we're going to squeeze this guy and he's going to drop out another drop, and it's going to be something as important as, how to avoid or how to expand the use of a tool that we drop for you. So thanks again for tuning in. We will be here to see you on the next video. Jason, thanks again for the awesome tips. Sorry to squeeze you one last time. Not sorry, because I'll probably do it again.
I know you will. See you, folks.
Bye.
Hey, here's what I want you to do. Let's take your learning to another level. I know you have questions, so schedule a call with me. Go to 2daycall.com, fill out a form, and get on my calendar so I can help you start closing deal after deal and answer all your questions to put you on a path to predictable closings.